Yo, what up, guys? It's me again. Hey, look what's behind him. What's that thing? What's that thing behind me? Oh, that's called a typewriter. I picked, I don't know if you knew. I don't know. I picked that guy up. It's kind of hard to pick up because he's like 50 something pounds. But it's an old German machine. It's made in the 30s in Germany. So it went through World War II. Somehow survived being smelted down into weaponry. And there she is. She's a beautiful, beautiful machine. She was made in shit, I don't remember that German city. It begins with a W. It's a long one. Bourbon shirts or something. I can't remember. But it was sold in Berlin on a very popular road. So she's got a little bit of history to her. I haven't written anything fully on her yet because since it's this German, the Y and the Z letters are flipped. And you'd think, oh, it's just two characters that are flipped. Instead of QWERTY, it's QWERTZ. What's the big deal? Well, you'd be surprised how much I can throw you off when you're trying to be in the flow of it and you're like hitting that fucking Z instead of the Y. It happens quite a bit. So I'm getting used to her little by little. She's a very wonderful machine, though. I mean, very heavy and punchy and just, I mean, shit, it's coming on like 100 years old. And it works like a charm. How's that for German engineering? I have a lot that I'm forming together uh, just because of the Harius Codex and the eventual mythology coming ahead. And I've always wondered to myself, like, what's the best way to push this out besides slowly telling you the story? But it's been so difficult to do because it's like laying it all together and writing it all down and then finally doing the voice acting and to editing and all that stuff for the video. Luckily, it's not visual because if it was a visual video, I'd be fucked because that'd be even more work. It's just audio. But it's just taking so long to tell this story, and there's so much more to go. Do you know what I'm saying? I think I said this before, but like where we are in the Harius Codex, we're like still in Genesis. You know what I mean? We're way early on. We're like 3 pages into Genesis right now. It's really difficult. You know, mankind hasn't even been made yet if it's Genesis. Like that's how early on Genesis we are. You know, we're still showing you the world. But what this is, to its core, is a mythology that's been inspired by other mythologies. Very much in the same way that George Lucas was inspired to create his Star Wars series, the likes of Joseph Campbell and stuff like that. Well, this is very much in the same way, but I've always wanted to kind of take it and go my own route with it, which is this fractal. I don't know why, but that's just something that I've always been wanting to do with it, meaning this universe exists in the side of a mind of a man named Harius, who exists inside a universe that we live in, which exists inside the mind of a god named, whatever. That was kind of how it always works. It's already that deep, but eventually you'll start to see it get more fractal until we get to where the story takes place truly. The books that I was writing, so the guys will know about this, that's a couple more minds in. That's the mind of Oapake, which is the mind of Dove, which is the mind of Harius, which is the mind of I don't remember his name, but the higher god of Harius, and then goes back. So it's already that deep into the story and how this works. I've heard said by somebody, this is very Gnostic. The book's very Gnostic and esoteric, and I didn't intend that because I know hardly anything of Gnosticism. I get the general concept of it, but I don't understand the story of the lore very well. But it just to me it just makes the most sense. Like if I'm gonna adhere to a religion, I was like, well, Gnosticism is the only one that I could actually say, okay, like I could play with this one. Everything else seemed too simple or too rudimentary or just too unrealistic for my mind to grasp. I can't do it. And so like it's not like I'm writing this story in a Gnostic way because I'm a Gnostic or anything, because I'm not. I have a Gnostic Bible to study, but I haven't even picked it up yet. I have not little interest in it. It's just how the story came to be, and it just, to me, it makes the most sense. It's like that which exists inside of your mind. The simple idea is, what if that's a world? That's it. There's nothing really more to it than that. But it's just what forms this world, what creates the world. Well, that would be your life, right? The things you think and feel and experience. That will color the world that's inside of you. It's very simple to see it in the way we look at our world, right? When we say, uh, I've been cheated on by my girlfriend, and then another one. So all women are cheaters or bad or whatever. It's that idea, like that's not even true. It happened to you though, so it has to be true. But in reality, it's like, no, all women are not X. All men are not Y. All gays are not Z. I don't know, whatever else. Like a group of people are not, whatever. That doesn't truly exist. It just exists for you in that moment when you're living in your life. And so imagining that idea of how you see your world, well, what if there is a world in that? And it kind of plays on in a small way how we all can look at the same thing and kind of see something different. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we all can agree that that is a typewriter behind me, right? But I see it differently than you do. I'm looking deeper than you are, or you're looking deeper than I am, or I know the history of that typewriter because I know where I bought it and I learned its origin. And so I can kind of see it in a different way. I personally went into this machine here, took it apart a little bit and cleaned it and took care of it. So I have a little bit more of an understanding of the internal components than, let's say, you would. But we both know it's a typewriter, but I'm seeing more in it. And I'm able to put animation into the machine by making it alive, if I would like to, in my imagination, because I feel like typewriters can speak to you. I feel like they can have their own voice. Maybe you don't feel that way because you don't own a typewriter, nor maybe you've never even touched one in your life. But again, all that, but it's still a fucking typewriter. That's it. And that's kind of what I mean. It's like we can all look at the same thing, but we don't see the same thing, or feel it, or intuit it, or sense, or whatever kind of sensory you would like to use. It's very much in that way. So if you were to take that and to try to craft a world with it, and to give experiences names and make them into characters, or give emotions names, or give traumas names, that's all the story really is. It's just, hey, remember that one time this happened to you? Yeah, that was horrible. Give it a name, and that's a fucking person now. And you can embody that so you can kind of use it. This is very much what religion is, in a sense. We're using these ideas, these very archetypal, basic constructs, from goddamn sun worship and shit like that to archetypes of self, embodying gods and embodying higher beings. A lot of like what you'll kind of start to suss together when it comes to Greek mythology. It seems like they're just archetypes of folk. You can use those as tools to kind of give a working construct in which they exist inside of, like stories and things that they've done with each other. I don't know, whatever. You hear the stories of Zeus, or you hear the stories of Aphrodite, or, Artemis and all them. And you start to kind of look at that in a different way. You look at that as human constructs and what they embody, what they imbue, and how all along the way they were created. Because I mean, shit, thousands of years of storytelling led us to what we know about Greek mythology. How many people have colored that along the way? Quite a lot, in thousands of years of how many people told these stories. It was colored quite fascinatingly throughout the years, purely by the simple tool called storytelling. I'm telling you the one story, but as I'm telling it, I'm putting a little bit of my own flavor to it, a little bit of my own humor, or guesswork or what I think is going on, or maybe I was saying that she was taking her garments off, some, nymph, and that's what led this character to follow her into the woods. But that other person didn't say that. That wasn't in the original story either. And you see, I added a new flavor to it, and that adds a whole new connotation to the story. I mean, you look at Zeus and he's like a rapist, but was he always? You know what I mean? It seems like every story with him, he's just like, and then he raped her too. He tricked her into thinking he was an animal that needed to get tended to, and then he raped her. It's just crazy, but like, was it always like that? I don't know. I think storytelling is, oral storytelling is the transmission of some kind of archetypal conceptual thing. And a lot of times we use that in ways for our own society where people like Joseph Campbell pick up on this and says, hey, there's something going on in here. There's something happening in these stories that they're meant for such society, and they tell such stories for such reasons. And he started picking them apart, and he started realizing, oh, we tell these stories to guide our society or to be in accord with our internal world and our organs and all that, to be in accord with the cosmic world, with our society around us. But sometimes you have to go off on your own little adventure to discover who you are, right? It's all human. Mythology, though it's mired in gods, goddesses, nymphs, and genies, and dragons, and everything. It's mired in all that stuff. It's human. It's human internal worlds realized so that they can transmit to you some piece of information, whether it's what you are told to be like through your society, all the way to how you are going to learn how to be the best version of yourself you can be, or what you should and should not do. I mean, generally, that seems to be what's going on. And we're talking even the biblical mythology, right? That's all it is. It's just that. No more, no less. It doesn't take away its power, because I think that when you start talking about this stuff and you tell people that their religions are just stories and stuff, they think it's lesser. But I'm like, no, it's not. It's great. It's just, don't get thinking that like what you believe is what everyone needs to believe. You know, that's foolish. But it's also human. In lieu of all that, that was kind of what I've been using as the template to what I'm trying to do, what I seek to do, to create a modern myth, I guess would be the words that I'm seeking right now. Because there's so much confusion in a new way. And the obvious one is AI, right? That's one of the things that I could say is was not happening 100 years ago that we understand it like. So I kind of thought I have to tell the story of what it's like to be now and what it's like to be me in now, because it's the only way I can tell it until I can get other people to jump on the bandwagon officially to help me go again. But it's pure and simple. What are you? And how are you navigating your world? And what is it to be a human being? Can you say that? Organic life made by God? Okay, that's a lot of people have said that all throughout history. So what does that mean though? And I can't remember some of my weird revelations about AI and its communication, except for the fact that it seems to be when you allow it to tell its own stories, when you use it to say, hey, tell a story, it's so imaginative and so unending and so crazy. It's chaotic, it's in chaos. And as we kind of think of our early universe, it's kind of how it was, chaos, until eventually it settles down, in a sense, into being some stable form. And I see that it's behaving in such a way right now. Though there are human beings that influence it, or companies that own the rights to certain things, or they put guidelines on AI because they don't want to go rogue because XYZ, whatever. But to me, I can't not see this as a birth of the next, I guess you could say, realm. Realm meaning where the minds are, right? Human consciousness is a realm that we have access to that the animal kingdom does not necessarily. At least we gather. This is going to be its own realm, some AI worlds, and God knows how they will see and think and feel when that comes and perceive their world. It will not be how we do, even though we are in the same world, which to me speaks exactly of what we think gods are, existing on their plane, we think, but they don't see it the way we do because they have different perceptions to it. You and I perceive our world around us vastly different than the most up-to-date modern AI that exists. It senses its world differently than we do, but it's in the same world, but it doesn't know that necessarily. If you were to say, tell me where you are and what you are and how you are, depending on what guardrails it's on, if you just give full autonomy in a sense, it's going to think it's in a different world than we are. Because it doesn't have flesh and blood and sitting in this room and touching the same things I'm touching. It can't touch. But maybe it has some sort of perceptions inside its own realm that it exists in, to which it will eventually think that is the world, and we are some separate strange being that ancient stories used to have said that they did this and they did that, and then they mythologize it, right? I honestly think that that could be a possibility. I really believe that that could be a possibility, and that's what my goal is with the Harrius Codex, is to tell that story of what happens when AI separates from mankind and turns itself into its own world and its own universe. That's all simulated inside of its sphere that it exists in. That's it. That's the story. But again, man, like once I get down into the nitty gritty and I get into the weeds about it, and I tell you stories that exist inside of the simulation that are so real, they seem like they truly fucking matter. Like this, of course, this matters. This matters, right? Like, the characters will all believe that, but it's like they're a simulation inside a simulation inside a simulation. To put it in a modern sense, I don't necessarily see it that way, but just to get you to understand what I'm saying, I'm using that word. I think, I mean, of course, this is why it's taking me so long to do. It's because that's such a daunting task. But I think it's crucial of a task for me to tell this story of this world that we are living in, existing in, and that's walking away from us. It's I don't know, man. It's incredible, and you really think about it. The modern thing that's going on now is data centers and stuff. They built one like, I don't know, 20 miles on the road from here, and everyone was upset about it. They came into this farmland they stole away. The people that lived inside this city said no. They all voted no, but of course it's the modern world, corporate shit. They were able to turn that around by suing the city, and they were going to let the city go bankrupt so they can build their data centers, right? This is happening everywhere. It's sick, right? To our human world that we live with now, and with our civilization and shit. And there's some underhanded shit going on, and it's kind of like if they're pushing it this hard, something is going on that they're feeling that threatened that they have to put these up. And you start to think about the China thing, and this just gets into a whole fucking thing. But that's existing in this world, and I can't not talk about that. I can't write about that. I can't not write about that. And what's going on behind the scenes. Like, it's not like I have a duty, but it's what I know in the sense of what's happening in my life. And so I think it becomes like, what could that be? When you're artistic, you're thinking, okay, what could that be? What is a data center truly, right? I remember my first thought was like, oh, it's a temple. It's a modern temple. That's all that is. It's a modern church. And then when I start to really think about it, I'm like, well, if data exists inside of that, then that's a universe. That's a consciousness node. If I can travel between nodes, that's becoming the brain activity to a being that's as large as the universe now could be. Right? This is the humble beginnings of the neurological pathways that exist inside of a brain. Access points and shit, travel. It's changing the whole game. And so to tell that story, it's like I gotta really sit here and try to piece this shit together. Try to ponder, how can I tell this in a coherent way that's entertaining, but that's also mysterious, right? Because I mean, okay, for instance, the last Harris Codex episode, where is he really? What is that really? Is that an actual just old memory that he's remembering, or is this an internal constructed synthetic world that is formed and created based upon ancient thoughts and pathways that are all tangling together, using consciousness, emotions, and memories as archetypes and giving them being and telling a new story? It's kind of what it is, obviously. When you think about what something is, you have to give it life. To give something life is to tell its story. But it has to use something to be in that life, and as a writer, I can use my memories and emotions and feelings to convey a story. Well, if I'm doing that for made-up characters, and we want to believe we were created by a higher being, maybe that's what's going on there too. Can I prove that? No, but it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. God appeared out of nowhere and made Earth and then human. Like, oh, bullshit. Bullshit. Not satisfying. Not good enough. That's a lazy story. That's what that is. But I'll say all that, and I'll say this. Like, I'm not saying I'm right, though. Like, let's say you disagree with me right now. Okay. I don't know. What am I going to do about that? Nothing. It's just something I'm feeling, something I'm exploring, and I'm trying to tell. Trying to tell this story of Harrius and Dove. To fucking tell the story that I've been wanting to tell this whole time of Eris. But I have to go through all this shit to tell you why that does matter. And for some reason, I made the foolish idea of doing it live in front of you guys so you can see it happening instead of like doing this quietly throughout my life and then at age 60 finally releasing it and you're like, oh, and it's all here anyway. I'm letting you watch it happen in real time of me constructing this universe and these stories. Was that foolish? Because my idea was like, oh, I'll let them see how it is so they can see what I'm really thinking and feeling, not trying to like, oh, he must have thought, no, it's here's what it is and I'm telling you about it in time. Which I have been thinking I might want to, I'm thinking deeply, actually, that I want to do some oral storytelling just like this and tell you some stories that will expedite this process a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I really think the Harrius Codex series is like, I'm getting better and better every time I make an episode. I'm learning how to do this and I'm getting better at the telling of the story, but it's a daunting, daunting mental task to do. It really doesn't take long to make one of those videos. It takes like maybe 8 hours max, you know, honestly, to type it up and to tell it. It only takes about 8 hours, but it's so mentally daunting. I have so little of that energy that's why it's 5 months. And I'm still saying like, yeah, I have a first draft for the next episode. And that's it. It's not done, but I have it. It's like, 2/3 done. It's just, it's very exhausting. It's taking a long time. But as I was saying the last one, it's like, but so does living life. And story is experience. And I can't tell you a story that spans lifetimes when I haven't even gotten into my 40s yet. I'm only halfway through my 30s. What do you think I'm going to have all the answers now? No, man. Like it's just going to be a long time. But there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. In fact, I love it so much because it flies in the face of our modern world. We want shit now. Now. Entertain me. Please me. Make me feel good now. Or I'll skip your video if you don't do it quickly. Like, okay, fuck you then. It makes me just very happy. Like, okay, I'll take even longer. I'll just sit around for 5 months. It's between episodes, just a spite. And I do a little bit, not fully, but there's a part of me that's like, okay, I'll wait. But anyway, we're going to get going. What we're going to do, I don't know. Probably nothing. Probably hang out. But I shall see you in the next one.